Hello, Days of Our Lives fans! This past week was the final full week of Ron Carlivati's writing, and that brings me great joy. The week overall, the highs, of course, were the returns of Sami and Vivian for me. Two very classic characters. I thought that Sami especially brought a great deal to her scenes over her unfortunate short return to the show. And did I love her having to be marred down by Rafe? No, I I didn't. That was definitely the weak point, which we will get into. My favorite thing about Sammy's return, other than the scenes with Johnny last week, was Sammy and Kate's interactions. In the 90s, 2000s, they were bitter rivals because of Sammy's involvements with Kate's children. And they've kind of gone to a place of kind of frenemies at this point. I think that's what I got from them this go round. I loved when they were having a chat and Sammy brought up Jada and Sean sleeping together, and Kate was enthralled by Sammy sharing some tea with her. I wish that Sammy's return was, I guess, longer, just for some more Sammy and Kate scenes as like old bitter rivals who now get along and maybe would even work together in some scheme. That would have been fun. So yeah, that was definitely the high point of Sammy's return this past week. Johnny's stuff was last week. I didn't love Sammy leaving town already without a goodbye to Johnny or having any scenes with Marlena. So that's kind of a waste. But we got plenty of scenes with Sami and Rafe for any safe fans that are still out there. Sami and Rafe have never been high on my list of Sammy's relationships. In fact, I would say they might be dead last. Lucas will always be my favorite Sammy pairing. I enjoyed Sammy and Brandon. Even Sammy and Austin, as much as they were never even really that into each other, except for maybe one time. I would put all of them, including EJ, who I hate EJammy because of it starting with a rape, over Sammy and Rafe. But I guess I will say that Sammy is the only character that Rafe has ever had some chemistry with. They seem better as friends to me, and I think their chemistry still is more friends, but I guess them hooking up this go around because Rafe's going through grief that Jada hooked up with Sean when Jada thought Rafe was a bastard, even though it was a stupid lookalike. I guess Rafe and Sammy sleeping together is fine. But I don't know why every time Sammy has returned under Ron, she has to return and be involved with one of her men. But I guess that's the route Ron always wanted to go. As usual, I think some better decisions could have been made by Ron, but this is what we've gotten for years from him. Vivian's return, it was fine. Like, I'm not invested enough in the story overall. By the end of the week, I was slightly more invested in the Xander Phillip brotherly relationship that Vivian at least caused some drama for. So I guess that was the pro to Vivian's return, is that she did at least give us some drama in Phillip and Xander's relationship for some truth coming out that Phillip was kind of just playing Xander. Xander thought they were actually forming a brotherly bond. And in the end, both of them are just hurt. They have hurt feelings as brothers because I think both just wanted to prove themselves. The story at its heart is fine. I just haven't been invested because honestly, I've barely watched Days over the past 2 years. Just returning this year because I knew Ron's writing was winding down. Finally. Vivian, she's always had some element of campy to her, for sure. But when she first started in the 90s, she was definitely a more layered character. By the end of her first stint in the 90s, she was more of a caricature, super campy character. And all of her returns that I've seen on Ron, I haven't seen them all, thankfully. I don't even know why she was in prison. Don't care either. Are also super campy. And she was campy this time. They tied the bow on Vivian and Sami's returns with them running into each other. They're on the same flight, going to be sitting next to each other. I thought it was funny. I mean, that is what we get under Ron, is humor. I can't remember Vivian and Sami ever having this close relationship. They did work together at one point to take down Kate, though, I'm pretty sure. So they have worked together in the past. And it's just a nice throwback to the 90s, because in the 90s, Sami, Vivian, Kate were kind of like this villainous diva trio, although they all kind of hated each other at some point. I don't know if Sami and Vivian ever hated each other, but Sami and Vivian hated Kate. So they had that in common. But yeah, their returns brought some energy back for 1 week, but it was too quick for both of their returns. And now we will still be left with 3 more episodes of Ron to slog through this next week before the new writing officially takes over, I believe, on Thursday. And it will be a slog, these next 3 episodes, without Sami and Vivian for me to get through. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else to talk about that I enjoyed over the past week. Those were really the only things I enjoyed. I mean, Jada and Sean, when Rafe had the fantasy of Jada and Sean getting it on and Sean just being shirtless, I was like, okay, Rafe, that's extreme. Apparently Rafe has some extreme jealousy if those are the kind of paranoid fantasies going on in his head. But then when Sean and Jada came together, they still seemed to want to remain more friendly than involved, and I would rather them be involved. I don't think Jada and Rafe have chemistry from what I've seen, so just go the Jada and Sean route. We still have the Who Shot EJ story, but I simply don't care. I also feel like a lot of the scenes this past week were kind of redundant. I'm not invested. I said this last week when I made a day's video that I don't feel like the setup was strong enough to have a whodunit. I feel like it was rushed. I don't think some of the suspects have a reason to want to shoot EJ, but I don't know if it's enough for me. So I'm hoping the new writers don't take their time with that story, because I'm just simply not invested enough. At the end of the day, though, I guess I'm just glad that Ron is finally about to be out the door as a head writer. He's over at Beyond the Gates. He's a breakdown writer, like 1 day a week. He's doing fine as a breakdown writer. Let's keep him there. I don't want to see Ron head writing ever again. You know, his strengths when he first started on One Life to Live and even General Hospital can make for an entertaining show. But what Ron gets so wrong in the soap opera is that you can't treat 80% of the show like a joke, because then nothing means anything. And I think that's why I've had a hard time reinvesting in the show after 2 years, because I don't care about most of these characters. All these younger characters aren't layered, which is a problem when you write everything for a laugh or as a joke or just super over the top and campy. Kind of like I'm finding the Marlena and Steve Hunt for John with Orpheus. That's been over the top with a bomb and shit. Like, that's just Ron's weakness at its core. It's too over the top, too much played as a joke, and then it's hard to invest, and the characters ain't layered anyway, so what am I investing in? So the new writers do have their work cut out for them, as I've said last week. I am looking forward to what they do. It's not gonna take off right away. They're gonna need months, I fear, to really get into a groove and start to fix a lot of what Ron broke. The good thing, I know we have more returns coming up. My people, Bo and Hope, are coming up, thankfully. Hopefully that goes better than their return under Ron's bullshit. So I'm looking forward to that. That at least gives something to look forward to. But it'll probably be a short return like Sami and Vivians just were. Will Bo and Hope only be on for a week and a half? Then what do I look forward to? That's what the new writers are going to have to figure out. And I was hoping they would get rid of some of these characters I don't care about or just that really irk me, like Leo. But it's my understanding that they're probably not going to get rid of Leo. Leo's been one of those characters, and this is another flaw under Ron. Ron loves to push characters down our throats that other characters have to prop up because they don't work, because they're either a joke or they do too much bullshit, but they have characters on the show trying to stick up for them. And that's where Leo falls into. When Leo first debuted, I thought he was entertaining, but he has been on too long. He has definitely passed his expiration date as a character on the show because of the way Ron wrote for him. So the fact that Leo probably sticking around and not actually getting the boot does not give me faith in the decisions by the new writers. But maybe they could add layers to some of these characters and make me more excited about them or invested in them. We'll find out though. But only three more days of Ron's writing. His last full week was this past week. And I guess at least he gave us 2 decent returns in Sami and Vivian. But there was still some bad decisions in Ron's writing in those returns.